Now, it is in fact a short list of things that are worth getting up early and driving a couple of hours. High on that list is time spent with friends, and I'm headed south out of Dallas for just that purpose.
Hey y'all. So I drove down from Dallas this morning to visit a friend of mine here in Round Rock, a gentleman named Greg, and well, he's building what is a pretty doggone cool first-gen Blazer. We're gonna learn a lot about that today. We're also gonna learn about what it is to actually use all this social media stuff for what it's meant for, which is actually getting out and meeting folks and learning from them and sharing what you know with them. So stick around.
Now, this isn't the first time y'all have heard of Greg. I first referenced him back in episode 6 when I was prepping the Charger for its new frame. If you haven't caught up on that one, go back and luxuriate, as I pretty much just hack up my project car. I called Greg a while back asking about whether or not he liked his English wheel. He did, and went on to explain how he happened to have an extra one on hand. Picking up that tool provided a perfect opportunity to also trade some skills. I would share TIG welding tips in exchange for some guidance on how to get started on the English wheel. Back to Greg. As I followed his build and the depths to which he would take it, I was inspired to acquire the necessary fabrication and welding skills so I could become the person that would be able to build a top-notch car in my own home shop. Basically, this is the guy that showed me that garage builders like us can take a project way too far and feel darned good about it. Back at Greg's shop, it's still early, and after some breakfast tacos, we set about doing a bit of TIG welding practice. I brought down my kit and got his number 20 torch all set up with a gas lens and some fresh tungsten.
It's great for doing aluminum.
But before too long, we're cleaning up material and striking an arc. I always start with some basic beads on a flat plate to get a feel for the material. Remember, welding creates ozone and a whole bunch of other fumes that aren't awesome for your lungs, so live to weld another day. Use your respirator.
I can see the puddle and I can see that I'm dipping into it, but I can't see that I'm going straight. I don't know the width.
And while we talked in detail about arc length, torch angle, travel speed, machine settings, and so on, there is no substitute for practice. And so that's how we invested our time. The main thing Greg wanted to cover was practicing welding tubing. So that means a hot root pass followed by a big cap.
Okay, all right. I'm getting us distracted from TIG welding.
No, it's fine. No, I mean, this is a day that's...
At a point, we switched over to talking about metal shaping with the English wheel and what he took from a series of videos from ProShaper here on YouTube.
You gotta get used to thinking about metal, like what's the characteristic of metal that I'm trying to change, and it's like, well, it's touching here, that must be good, and then I just have to make this, come up or something. But the reality is, if it's touching here and it's not touching here, it's because this is not stretched enough. You need to keep moving that away so that this can then come up, the part that it's missing.
Among his earliest projects is a modified firewall that gives clearance for his 38s to swing way back, which is necessary because of the massive scrub raise he's getting from his portal axles.
Here. And then eventually what happens is I stretch and I stretch and I stretch and I stretch, and then eventually, whoop, this comes right up to where I want it to be, and it touches here.
And you did all this with 16 gauge.
Yeah, which is, again, it's like learning how to TIG weld on steel, exhaust tubing. It's like, what's the hardest possible thing I can start with? It would have been a lot better if I said, I'm going to start with a 20 gauge or 18.
Yeah.
But I knew a firewall in that piece needs to be something thicker and more durable.
What I really appreciate from Greg's example is that he becomes a student of whatever skill he's looking to acquire and build, and has sought to become truly competent in shaping sheet metal for his Blazer project.
You want to have a
How much tension?
A pretty good. I mean, you want that kind of
You want to push
entry point. Like you want to be able to feel, that kind of resistance. And basically, when you have an upper wheel like this and a lower, you're bending in two directions. You're bending across the crown this way, and of course, you're bending this way. The rubber band, which is kind of up out of the way, and you've seen this in Ray's videos too, if you've watched a lot of them, is if you only want to bend it in one direction. The rubber band goes over this.
Yeah.
And I think it only allows you to bend in this plane, but it doesn't bend sideways. What you're going to get used to is, you're going in, and if you pick a spot you want to try to get to, you're like, okay, I'll just aim over there. Yeah. I'll aim that way. Nope, that's wrong. Nope.
I got you.
I can get
That's
here.
where you're saying back up a trailer.
Yeah, it's opposite of what you
opposite.
think. But as you start to do it, you'll say, okay, now I'm, and it's one of those, the less you use your brain, and the more you just allow your body to just experience what's happening, cause and effect, you'll eventually start to figure out, okay, now my body knows what to do. I can't tell you in my head what to do.
But just like before, you can't dance about architecture. So we get to it working some sheet metal.
And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, yeah, it's like I'm fighting. But what happens is, eventually you'll say, I think I'm sort of getting it, and then I totally have it. And then you'll immediately make a mistake, like, okay, obviously I don't have it. What you'll notice is you're already starting to get crown. Like you're already starting to see.
I can see it. I mean, even just the few pieces that you did.
And then you can loosen it or tighten it, but it doesn't take a lot of pressure. Mostly, the guys that are doing it, they're trying to keep a minimal pressure because you get fewer track marks.
Yeah.
Right. So the harder you do it, you can influence it more quickly, but you'll also end up with more work to fix after.
I like that. Metal is clay.
Yeah. It's sort of the irreverence of like stop being so concerned about the fact that you're messing with metal, that you're welding metal, that you're banging on it can all be put back.
Greg's right, and I think his comments go a long way to supporting that idea that as a bunch of regular folk builders, our most powerful tool is our willingness to build something more than once and not stopping until we're happy with the result.
Because when I had a straight piece of tubing, they had a valve and it would go through here and they would hit it. And I realized it was never going to make the turn, so basically I had to put this little kink in it, and that does the trick. It was obviously 2 hours to do it that way, but I think it looks cool. And so, why not?
Cars are connectors of people. They take us places we want to go to see people we care about.
It was not trivial to do all that driving, but I really appreciate it.
As builders and hobbyists, we have long known that there is no substitute for in-person instruction and skill sharing like what we've shown here.
Gonna roll down the river now. Ain't taking no burdens on my way. Gonna head back to the heaven place. Gonna find my place by the swollen face of rolling down the river now.
I'm so thankful to Greg for hosting and sharing his space with all of us. And what a space it is. I look forward to following his progress, lending a hand where I can, and joining him on some shakedown runs. But for now, it was time to head back to Dallas. The sun was low, and I was eager to put into practice some of the things that I had learned and to get my car one step closer to running and rolling.
I'm gonna see my heart.
Thanks for watching, and until next time, y'all take care.
Of the love of the home that I know is where I'm from. Hey, I'm gonna roll down the river now. And I ain't looking back to the hell where I come from.
Well, who's ready to build an engine?
I'm gonna share my soul with the love of a home. In the place where a freedom is a rock in my soul, I know